Let's go by the bounds, bitch.
Today's journey is a chilling descent into darkness. 8 real-life caving incidents where things spiraled from adventurous to absolutely terrifying. From narrow squeezes and freezing water to floods and fatal missteps, these are stories of survival, tragedy, and human endurance, deep beneath the Earth's surface. Each cave had its own secrets. Some explorers made it out, others weren't so lucky. So buckle up, light your headlamp, and let's get into the most horrific cave disasters ever recorded. Viewer discretion is advised. 1 Pepper Sauce Cave, father and son trapped. It was supposed to be the perfect birthday adventure. On June 25, 2004, Dan Garrison and his 11-year-old son Justin headed to Pepper Sauce Cave in Arizona, a twisting limestone labyrinth that seemed like the perfect cool escape from the summer heat. Dan had explored the cave years ago and figured it'd be a fun father-son bonding experience. But 2 critical mistakes set the tone for the nightmare to come. First, he forgot extra flashlight batteries. Second, he told no one where they were going. The cave entrance was like a mouth into darkness. Cool air replaced the desert heat, and the excitement of exploration took over. Flashlights on, spirits high, they crawled, squeezed, and climbed their way deeper into the underground. Hours passed. They reached a spot called the Book Room, a chamber where visitors leave their names. Feeling accomplished, they decided it was time to head back. And that's when the cave turned on them. The return route, unrecognizable. Tunnels that once looked obvious now split in all directions. Landmarks seemed to shift. Panic began creeping in. As their energy drained, their flashlights dimmed, and the cold crept closer. By nightfall, they were lost. Trapped in a stone maze, no map, no backup light, and no one even knew they were missing. Dan tried to stay calm for Justin. He rationed water, let his son rest, even began sketching a crude map using a compass and notebook in the book room, marking dead ends and turns. Justin, though just 11, had a sharp idea. Listen for dripping water. And it worked. They followed the sound, and Justin spotted a rope they'd used earlier. It was the way out. Their return was slow, careful, and filled with wrong turns. But after 24 grueling hours in complete darkness, they finally spotted daylight. Nobody had been searching, nobody knew, and that might have been the most haunting part of all. 2 Quollet Cave, flooded British expedition. In March 2004, a seasoned team of British military veterans descended into Quollet Cave in Mexico, part of an ongoing survey mission deep in the Sierra de El Abra region. This team wasn't new to danger. They'd prepped extensively, even placing their camp well beyond the flood-prone zones. Radios, food, emergency plans, everything was accounted for. But Mother Nature had other ideas. By March 17th, 2 days in, torrential rain hit the area. The entrance flooded. A sump formed, completely sealing them inside. The team stayed calm. They had supplies and working communication. Everything suggested they just wait it out. But the rain didn't stop. It got worse. 5 days in, the cave's air grew thick and stale. Food was running low. Sleep became impossible. Above ground, efforts to get Mexican rescue divers failed. They didn't have the training for flooded cave rescues. So the call went out. British cave divers Rick Stanton and Jason Mallinson were flown in. On March 25th, the rescue began. Navigating the flooded tunnel was terrifying. Poor visibility, tight squeezes, and the constant risk of equipment failure. One mistake would cost lives, not just of those trapped, but the rescuers too. When the divers finally reached the trapped cavers, emotions ran high. They distributed spare tanks, set up a line system, and began the slow exodus, one person at a time. 9 exhausting hours later, all 6 cavers emerged safely. But their relief didn't last long. Media swarmed them, authorities launched investigations, the team was detained, accused of spying. Their equipment raised suspicion, and speculation ran wild. Despite no proof of wrongdoing, they were expelled from Mexico. The physical escape from the cave was over, but the emotional fallout had just begun. 3 Devil's Den Cave, instructor gets stuck. It started as a guided adventure for 12 kids aged 8 to 12. Devil's Den Cave in the Ozark Mountains was known for tricky passages and cold temperatures, but 20-year-old instructor Richard Hears had been there before. Confident, maybe too confident. As the group navigated tight tunnels, the kids moved easily through the gaps. Richard, on the other hand, had put on some weight since his last trip. It caught up with him in the worst possible way. They reached a narrow vertical crack, 10 inches wide, just tall enough to crawl through. The kids slid through fine. Richard supervised, then attempted to follow. But halfway through, he got stuck, truly, painfully stuck. His hips wedged tight, chest compressed, breath short, and worst of all, the kids were now trapped behind him with no way out. Panic spread like wildfire. Hours passed, cold set in, oxygen levels dropped. Some kids showed signs of hypothermia. 2 began drifting off, not from tiredness, but from dangerous cold. By the time Melissa Jones, the other instructor, realized something was wrong, it was nearly too late. Rescue crews arrived to find a truly grim scene. Richard immobile, kids stranded, and temperatures plummeting. A specialized team used climbing straps and sheer precision to lift Richard just inches upward, enough to free him. His jeans were cut off to reduce friction. After 5 hours, he was finally out. The kids were next. All 12 made it out alive, but not without trauma. 2 required hospital care. Richard's body recovered, but mentally he carried the weight of knowing just how close they all came to tragedy. 4 Gage Caverns, graduate student crushed. October 7, 2001. 5 friends ventured into Gage Caverns, New York. They reached a spacious area known as the amphitheater, and that's when 28-year-old Shu Kudo spotted a crack. A horizontal slit just wide enough to squeeze through. She volunteered to explore. At first it looked simple, but just a few feet in, the passage bent at a sharp angle, invisible from the outside. Kudo twisted her body and followed the turn, but her torso became wedged. Rock pressed hard against her ribs. Breathing grew difficult. She was stuck, truly stuck. Her friends tried pulling, pushing, anything, but nothing worked. Kevin Shaw rushed out for help. Rescue teams arrived and assessed the damage, and it wasn't good. The crack narrowed at the bend, and Kudo's ribs were crushed between the rock. Pain, numbness, and limited breathing. Rescuers worked for hours using drills and chisels. Finally, after nearly 9 hours, they chipped away enough to ease her out. She was hypothermic, bruised, and partially numb, but alive. Her escape highlighted something critical. In tight cave rescues, every minute counts. A delay of just 15 minutes could mean the difference between survival and disaster. 5 Bear Hollow Rift, trapped at the pit. November 25, 2006. 8 expert cavers entered Bear Hollow Rift, a nightmare of vertical shafts and bone-crushing tunnels. After hours of intense climbing, Jay Jordan separated from the group, hoping to ascend early. But at the top of a 45-foot vertical shaft, his gear snagged. He was wedged, trapped, exhausted. The others found him hanging, unable to climb over a rock outcrop, nicknamed the Rockhorn, an immovable stone protrusion. Jordan had made the full climb, but couldn't move forward. He tried everything, changed systems, adjusted straps, but nothing worked. His strength drained. Eventually he slipped and fell, not a fatal drop, but it left him utterly defeated. Alone in the dark, cold, and exhaustion nearly killed him. When rescue teams arrived, they found Jordan barely responsive. They drilled out the Rockhorn, created new anchors, and after more than 20 hours, Jordan was finally pulled to safety. He wasn't injured physically, but mentally. That cave took something from him. 6 Quachev Chev Cave, fatal neck injury. This is the moment that gave this video its name. In 1991, a team of elite American cavers entered Mexico's infamous Quachev Cave, one of the world's deepest cave systems. Their goal? Go beyond known limits. Their route involved over 35 vertical drops using rebelay systems. On March 1st, Peter Haberland and Chris Jorga descended into East Gorge, a dangerous 2-part drop. Haberland went first, successfully navigating a complex mid-rope anchor. Then came Jorga. He called down a warning. Then a sickening whoosh, followed by a wet thud. Silence. Haberland found Jorga face down in a shallow puddle. His helmet was askew, his right leg twisted unnaturally. His heavy backpack had pinned him, submerging his face. It didn't take long to realize he was gone. Investigators later discovered a chilling flaw. Jorga's rappel rack twisted the wrong way, opening a carabiner mid-transfer. Instant freefall, no time to react. His death led to major safety reforms across the caving world. 7. Nikak Cave, 17-hour dive survival. Nikak Cave in Tennessee was off-limits, fenced, protected. But David, a thrill-seeking diver from Alabama, couldn't resist the legend of giant cave catfish. On his fourth dive, things went horribly wrong. He and his friend entered the underwater cave, but became disoriented. David surfaced alone in a tiny air pocket, running low on oxygen. His friend escaped and got help, but rescue teams refused to enter until cave diving expert Buddy Lane stepped in. They lowered the dam to drop the water level, and miraculously, after 17 hours trapped in darkness, Buddy heard a faint, "Hey." David was alive. Guided through the flooded maze, he emerged shaking, barely conscious. But alive. His survival became legend. Caves can be beautiful, mysterious, and mesmerizing, but they can also be deadly. These stories aren't just cautionary tales, they're raw reminders of how quickly things can turn when venturing into the unknown. Respect the darkness, prepare for the worst, and always tell someone where you're going. If this story left you chilled or breathless, hit that subscribe button, and share this with someone who loves survival stories.